And welcome back to CPAC. Mike Crispi here with RSBN at CPAC 2021 Uncanceled. Joining me now, a special guest, New Jersey governor candidate, Pastor Phil Rizzo is joining me. Mr. Rizzo, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm right on time. My alarm just told me that the interview was about to start, so good job on that.
There you go, right on time. And I want to ask you about something that I think is timely. New Jersey opening back up, obviously in blue states such as New York, New Jersey, California. People have seen unprecedented lockdowns. You ran for governor in New Jersey. You're continuing your activism in the state of New Jersey. Tell us a little about where you think that these liberal states need to go if we're going to save them and take them back.
We had been considering a run for office for a while. I have a wife, I have 4 teenage children, and as a pastor and a businessman and a family man, we were praying about entering the race. And it was the lockdowns that really was the final straw that let me knew that I was going to run for office. My family was being affected. Kids' school, right. Churches, and the entire faith community locked down. And my business, 1/3 of New Jersey businesses have gone bankrupt under the lockdowns. And so those big three right there affected every area of my life and pretty much every New Jersey family.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned 1 in 3 businesses have been shut down. I also want to ask you about your church. So you are a pastor, for those at home, in New Jersey. How do you feel about the regulations? Because it's been pretty obvious that these liberal governors have been targeting places of worship specifically, right? Which makes it totally wrong, totally unethical. Tell us a little about that.
When I read Governor Murphy's executive order that said our church needed to have locked doors, really the premise was this: church needs to be closed because the sign over the front door simply said City Baptist Church. But according to Phil Murphy's executive order, our doors would have been opened if the sign over the front door said City Liquors. So it was at that point we never closed our church. I knew that the lockdown was a scam. I knew the lockdown had nothing to do with health or science or safety. It was about control. If Walmart could be open, the church house could be open.
Absolutely. The church house could be open. So how do you think that these states make a recovery? So you're obviously continuing your activism. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but you're going to be starting a PAC and be re-emerging as a leader in the Republican Party in New Jersey and in some of these other areas. So talk about how and what New Jersey, New York, these liberal state Republicans need to do to rise up and take things back in their congressional races 2022 and beyond.
Typically, conservatives just want to be left alone. We want to raise our families, we want to earn a living, we want to go to church, and we want to have a hobby. And really, we'll stay in our corner, you stay in your corner, but those days are gone. We need to be active. Conservatives need to step up. They need to become activists. The liberals have been activists for decades, and we're trying to do our own thing, and now they're on our playground. And so they're trying to close our churches. They're closing our business. They're messing with our children, with their education and their health. It's time for conservatives to become activists, and that's what we're doing. Our campaign, we were Jersey Rizzo. I didn't come up with it, but it became kind of a brand, and really we're dropping the Rizzo and changing it to Rising. So I'm starting a PAC called Jersey Rising, and it is really to keep the momentum moving forward for conservatives statewide.
Absolutely. I mean, you see a man like Phil Murphy, who gained national notoriety when he was on Tucker Carlson and said the Bill of Rights is above his pay grade. So, I mean, people like that, I mean, they're just totally running amok. How do you think these people keep getting reelected when they just have so much disregard for the freedoms of the people?
I think part of it is our cities have become so deep blue. They're just adding up numbers in our cities. But quite honestly, I think it's because on many levels, the GOP, they're afraid to put up conservatives. And so they're putting up very uninspiring moderates that don't turn out the conservative base of pro-life, pro-gun, pro-Trump, pro-police, pro-military. They've become afraid of these things. Somehow they're going to be called bad names if they say they're any of those things. And so they've decided to shift to moderation, and it's not turning out the base. The GOP is conservative. That's the historic base. And the current GOP is shying away from that. That's why Democrats keep getting elected.
You know, you mentioned the Second Amendment and guns, and New Jersey now has rolled out some of the strictest gun laws in the country. It's pretty, I mean, I think a total overreach of the Second Amendment. Talk a little about that. How are you going to fight back against the Second Amendment overreach in these states? Because I think it's quite unconstitutional. We're seeing lawsuits play out right now. Talk a little about that.
I got an A rating from the NRA during our campaign. I ran strong on the Second Amendment. I guaranteed that I was going to bring concealed carry to New Jersey. Some people that were in politics longer than me said, yeah, that's nice, kid. You're crazy. I said, no, I'm actually going to bully the liberal legislator into giving it to us, or I'm just going to sign reciprocity with DeSantis, and we're going to go right around him. And so after I said that, some eyebrows got raised, and they thought maybe it just might work. There's about 900, 1,000 concealed carry permits in the entire state of New Jersey, and I'm one of them. And so I am all in on the Second Amendment. I'm right at home here in Texas.
You love to see that. Yes, right home here in Texas. I want to ask you one last question about President Trump. Obviously, President Trump is going to be speaking on Sunday at CPAC. I know you've been to his clubs and you've been a member and all of that. Talk a little about your relationship with the president, your feelings on 2024, and him just being the leader of the party.
He absolutely is the leader of the party. He gave a voice to the conservative wing in the Republican Party. We now have a voice again, and that's all thanks to President Trump. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I believe he is gearing up for 24. Obviously, he hasn't told me that, but yeah, we have a good relationship. I've met him a number of times prior to being president. I was hoping for that endorsement. He decided to sit out the primary. I get it. I understand he's got a lot of things on his plate right now, but if he runs in 24, he'll certainly have my support.
All right, everybody. Pastor Phil Rizzo from New Jersey, seeking to bring back liberal blue states. Thank you for joining me, Pastor.
Thank you so much for having me.